Does our government have documents that reveal where COVID really came from? That's what a congressional subcommittee said today. They're investigating the origins of COVID-19. They demanded more transparency on classified State Department documents. When did the State Department get these? Right? Says right there. This is the question to Blinken. But is this stuff that was given to Blinken? Or did they have this in the last administration too? Either way, we got to get to the bottom of this lab leak theory, don't we? Did China really cover it up? Should we have a 9/11 style commission to look into everything connected with COVID? I say yes. Don't you want to learn? All these BS conspiracy theories and everybody making things up that just feel right and fuel their agendas and politics. Don't you just want people who don't have a dog in the game to look at it, say what worked, what didn't? The parties only care about what advantages them, not you. We can do better. Let's bring in Dr. Deborah Birx. She was the White House COVID response coordinator during the pandemic. Thank you for joining us. I've always been dogged by this. I've always felt that we could know where this thing came from, but China just doesn't want to comply. You think it's as simple as that at the end of the day?
Well, we knew that from the beginning of the epidemic and the pandemic that China wasn't being transparent. If you remember, they were telling WHO that there was no human-to-human transmission when they were having their hospitals overrun with people with symptoms. So this lack of transparency existed with SARS. It existed with COVID. I'm hoping we learn our lesson and that like-minded countries get together and form a real treaty of sharing information. But at the same time, I've called for over and over, just like you, a 9/11-like commission where all of this is laid out and there's transparency with the American people. When we talk about rebuilding trust in science and data and information, it starts with transparency. What mitigation worked? What about the vaccines? What about long COVID? What about lab leak? And are we taking precautions to prevent a future lab leak? Because people are working with zoonotic viruses every day in multiple labs across the globe. And so what practices are we changing?
So, Doc, AstraZeneca made a headline today pulling the vaccine. They say it's because the demand curve isn't there anymore. There are other products. Other people say it's because the other products are better than their monkey based one and that has less side effects than AstraZeneca. And it has motivated people's paranoia about vaccines. What is your opening statement about whether or not the COVID vaccines were effective and whether they are safe compared to most vaccines?
They were very effective for what they were supposed to be used for, which was prevent severe disease and hospitalization and deaths. And that's what the vaccines were studied to do in this country, and that's what they did. Now, the question, you're asking a broader question because a lot of people were immunized that weren't in those high-risk groups. And that's why there has to be this transparent panel and discussion. But AstraZeneca, I mean, I just want to take a second to step back. The private sector did amazing things for us in the public sector during COVID. They made us test within weeks of us asking for it. They made us monoclonal antibodies. They made us antivirals, and they made us vaccines all within the first 9 months. That's extraordinary. What AstraZeneca is saying, and I think pretty clearly, they didn't make a second generation vaccine against the new strains. And so rightly, the use of that went way down. And so they should be saying, we're not going to make the new strain. And so we're not any longer going to make the old strain. That makes total sense. I do believe, and that's what you're getting at, were there issues with the vaccines when you've immunized millions, close to billions of people? Tracking that will give us critical information because I love that you had Sean on and he made the point. A lot of his symptoms are similar to long COVID symptoms. Well, that makes total sense. That happens often with immunizations, that if the natural disease can cause it, then it also can sometimes be seen in certain profiles of the vaccine. We should be studying that right now. Tell the people with long COVID and vaccine reactions to come forward. Study their genetics. We're in the 21st century. We know how to solve these issues, but we're not
But do
really
you
bringing all
believe
the pieces we have to bear.
But is the reason because they don't want to know, the they being the deep state, big pharma, the government, whatever boogeyman you want to fill in, because the truth is the vaccines didn't really work and there are way more side effects and more people got sick than got better as a result of it?
Well, that's why we need all the people to come forward that have had reactions, because I'm not sure all of them have been reported. Do I think it's millions? No. Could it be thousands? Yes. But there's millions of people with long COVID. So proportionally, when you look at it in an honest, data-driven way, more people have long COVID from having COVID than had vaccine reactions. That doesn't mean we shouldn't study it. Remember, you and I both remember what happened during HIV. HIV had a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusion, and it's like we didn't learn from that. And what happened? Advocates and activists went to the streets and demanded that the government do better, and the government did. So let's demand that the government do better and bring all of this transparently to light.
Do you think that there is a legitimate basis to say if you could do it over again, people shouldn't have had the vaccine?
There are definitive cohorts that should have gotten the vaccine from the very moment and should have been prioritized. I was saying in November, please prioritize the long-term care facilities. We knew that that was ground zero where our true elderly were residing. They needed it the most and should have gotten it first. Instead, we gave it to young nursing personnel. So when you study a vaccine to work for a specific cohort, you have to build trust by immunizing that cohort first, showing that it has the effect that you wanted. And I hope we learn those lessons, because you're absolutely right. There will be another time when we need the American people to come together and listen. And I think until we have the 9/11 Commission, until we've listened to each and every one of them and addressed their concerns, and they believe they were heard, people are going to continue to spread conspiracy theories. You block conspiracy theories when you let people be heard and you answer them transparently.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.